Welcome back, y'all, to the second episode of the We Got podcast. Same crew again. Saying nothing changed but the weather. Shout out to Jalen Hurts. This week, if you recall, last week we kind of all just introduced ourselves, said what brought us together. Some, black guys going to PWI, and then the second week we're gonna try to take it from a different angle. We're gonna discuss what um, another topic, which is the fact that this PWI was a religious institution, which we touched a little bit on that last week. I think something that we can do this episode is say where we all come from, like what's our faith journey, and then how that kind of intertwined with what we saw, what we're presented with at this particular PWI. And we can all just kind of tell stories about how we related to that, what shocked us, what we liked, what we didn't like, and how that influenced us, and how that still might be influencing us today. So we'll open up the floor if anybody wants to start off, kind of telling us. I don't know. Do you think it'd be a good way to like intro to like what was your personal like religious background before you showed up to Geneva? Or should we like? Yeah, I think we could start there. Who wants to go first?
I go ahead and rattle off because to this day, and granted, I showed up in Geneva back in 2011. I still don't know what Reformed Presbyterian is or whatever, and I come from AME church background, which is African Methodist Episcopal. I ain't been to church in a while, so don't hold that against me. That transition was completely different. To go from hearing singing, drums, praise and worship and all that to going into excuse me, to going into something that's not that. Like that makes it kind of hard for me to actually get into whatever it is that's being spoken. But I mean, at some point it became a little easier to digest, if you will. Sorry for all the viewers, I'm not at home, so y'all gonna get a different side of me today. But yeah, it was what we call weird, but that was just my experience and how it kind of unfolded for me. I ain't like it, but I still don't know what it is. I mean, granted,
It's
I
like
probably got to
point
do a little
blank.
bit more
I
research
wasn't
on
messing
it.
with it.
It won't. It just wasn't a thing. And then they kind of tried to force feed it to us too, in my opinion.
Yeah. Let
Like
me ask this
it was
before
part
we
of the
even went.
curriculum.
Did anybody know that it was going to be like heavy on the religious aspect before we even got there?
I'm gonna be
Like I
honest.
Yes and no.
didn't know, like if that makes sense. Like Thomas said, I didn't know what RP meant. Like I knew it was like a Christian school in some shape or form, but to the extent, no, I didn't know.
Gotcha.
Didn't know.
Yeah, when I came on my recruiting visit, they said it was a Christian school, but they didn't really say how intense it was.
Right.
Not at all. Not at all.
But similar to
That was a focal point of why. Go ahead.
I remember.
similar to Thomas, like I come from like I went to a Baptist church, still go to a Baptist church. So it was very lively, like music, like praise and worship was a huge thing. Obviously the preaching was good too, but like the worship aspect was very like heavy, like most black churches are. So like going from that to just standing in silence and like no music, there was no energy, like there was no like enthusiasm. It was kind of
Hey
weird.
yo,
I don't know. I don't want to say like it was like a cult, but like it kind of just felt like I don't know how to how to explain it, but it was just very different from what I'm used to. Like I just wasn't used to being in church with no type of like emotion or like just energy or music at all. So it was different for me.
it was real cut dry. We go in at 11 and get out at 11:30.
Right.
Anybody else like Rashad? Rashad and Shia, what was y'all experience?
No, man. I mean, when I when I went up there for my visit, they definitely mentioned it was gonna be faith based. So I was like, okay, cool. I know that was something that was really attractive to like my mom, my grandparents, and stuff. And then For some reason I remember like prior to it, something was like, oh, I had to brush up on like the Old Testament before I went up there for my freshman year.
Mm.
And I remember that, but I just was like, okay, whatever. This is, I probably have to take that Bible class. Maybe take a couple of them, Old Testament, New Testament. It makes sense. But it found a way to be. They found a way to integrate it almost into every course I took, which was a bit extreme to me because I felt like at times it was kind of force fed. And like most of you guys probably, I went to the same type of church, singing, shouting. You had the band, you had the people, they praise and worship. So going to that chapel that we had every Wednesday, and that's supposed to be essentially like our church service on campus. It was kind of weird. Like you said, everyone's kind of standing around, it's kind of quiet. There's no movement, there's no action. I found it hard to like get into it. It was kind of weird. So obviously I understand it. It's definitely going to be different. I wasn't expecting it to be a bunch of people like praise dancing and shouting when I saw that no one looked like me. And if they did, I'd be like, what type rhythm y'all got up here? But I didn't think it was going to be that drastic though. It was a lot more drastic. It was very, very, very uncomfortable in the beginning to get used to.
And then I think honestly, when I got there, it was a little bit more of a, I ain't gonna say soul search type of thing, but me being AME churchgoer, and I ended up going to, well, we all ended up going to that church in downtown Beaver Falls. I think it was like Second Baptist or something like that.
Yeah.
That made the faith aspect of going to school a little easier because, like we all said, sitting in chapel, sitting in chapel for that hour or however long it was cut very, very cut dry. Like majority of the time, I ain't gonna lie to you, I was asleep. Like I'm going to sleep because this doesn't, and then you also have to take a Bible class too. It's like, all right,
Two
you got
Bible
chapel
classes.
on Wednesday, and then
Bro,
you
3.
Yeah, 3
you
really.
have yeah.
And it was
Well,
like
dropout
Bible
didn't
1
get to
through
that point,
12.
but
It wasn't even Bible 101.
yeah.
I gotta learn about in the beginning, but how you just gonna jump to 112?
Tanakh. Yahweh.
Yahweh. Hey, real quick, man, before we get too deep, man. Everybody, let's take our shot for the day, man. We got cheers. Every week we got cheers to each other, man. Whatever we drinking. If it's 21 and up, if it's 20 and down, man, everybody pour up and have a little sip, man. Cheers to everybody.
Shout
Fam.
out to the Sixers sweep.
Shout out to my boy Lamar Jackson getting paid. Shout out Bryce Young being drafted first overall. Here we go.
On it.
Yeah, so for
That nigga
me,
just said he won't no name drop.
I think I come from like my dad's a pastor in a Presbyterian church back in the Philly area, and so like I have a pretty strong faith background. I'm a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. I take my faith pretty seriously. So I knew a few people that went to Geneva College before, but once I got there, I don't think I was ready for the level of religiosity that was coming with that. And to me, it was kind of like a smack in the face. Like, I'm used to people living out their faith, not having like all these rules. You know what I'm saying? Like it was to another level. And I think we gotta describe what came with Geneva. So like I think we mentioned like once a week there was that required chapel, we call it. So it's like you literally had to go to church in the middle of the week on Wednesday. Like the whole campus would gather in the gym for that. And that's something I wasn't expecting for in college. Because you hear about like a Catholic school, right? You think
Mandatory.
about Notre Dame, they still party it up. So I was like, it'd be alright. But that was not it.
Nah, definitely. And just like, can y'all hear me?
I wonder.
I can hear you now.
All right.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. You gotta speak up, boy.
It ain't that. I don't know. It's the internet or something. But nah, I was gonna say like my background, like I was raised evangelical, and I think like what evangelical means, like meant when I was being raised that way, and what it means now are completely like two different things.
Yeah.
Just
Since
like,
about 2016.
yeah, it was like 20, like 2007 evangelical. That's just the way I was raised. So like I understood, like again, it was pretty similar to like Baptist. Like you got live music, they got hymns and all that stuff. But like Jarwood touched on, I didn't really expect it to be like y'all said, forced into like every area,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like I guess stuff that we dealing with like in America with anything. Like once you feel like you don't really got a choice, then it kind of takes away like the freedom of it. Like if I was like I'm going to chapel on my own accord, like I'm trying to build my relationship with God, then it's like a completely different thing. But when they like you gotta do it, it's like with anything. Then you're like, now it's not even because no matter if my heart's right or not, you just saying I got to do it. So that was a part of Geneva that I was like, you know, didn't really sit well with me. But sometimes I think like devil's advocate, they'd be like, hey, y'all chose to come out here, so y'all knew what it was. But I was like, I really didn't. Really had no idea.
I
I
My
think
heart was
everybody
never
chose it.
transferred.
I think everybody chose it for something different though, you know, like I might have chose the school because I liked the fact that it did have a curriculum that was faith based, but that doesn't mean
Yeah, my parents loved that
I
shit.
don't want shit shoved down
Grandparents
my
loved that
face.
shit.
Yeah, exactly.
They loved it. They
Because
was like,
you relate that to anything in life, man. It's like not not to be inappropriate, but you drink a lot of college students drink more before they turn 21 than when they turn 21. It's just because when they have the freedom to be able to do it, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll drink when I drink. I won't when I won't. But they always try to drink before they turn 21 because it seems like it's the thing to do. I feel like a lot of people
get in
would
front.
probably take it a little bit more serious if they had the freedom and they weren't penalized. Like we were kind of forced to go. If I wanted to go, I feel like I'd get more out of it as opposed to being like, if you don't go, you will fail.
Right.
I mean, my
Right.
problem is like with the Reformed Presbyterian faith, it was just a different level, man. It was like like we said, we're all used to a certain level of praise, a certain level of worship, like a little activity going on. So like that once a week chapel, they based it off of the Reformed Presbyterian faith, which they don't believe in dancing, they don't believe in using any instrument except for the piano, and they only believe in like praise and worship is like only singing psalms. I don't know if y'all remember this, which is
Mhm.
kind of like it's kind of weird to me because in the Psalms it literally says sing the praise with the harp and the lyre. Like they quote out other instruments in there, and y'all are just singing this dry stuff. Like
They didn't really
That's
do
just for
that.
show. It's like the towel in the bathroom that nobody used.
exactly.
Decorative
Yeah, I'm like, how you
towels.
singing from this book that tells you to dance to the Lord and you don't allow dancing? Like, there's a literal rule on campus that said no dancing. Like, so to me, that was just kind of hypocritical. And someone that came in with like a solid faith background, and like y'all were saying, I think it definitely all seeing that what I call hypocrisy like knocked my faith back a little bit. So yeah, I had to rebuild all that after college for myself, and not because it was like being forced upon.
Oh,
Right.
same.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did anybody else experience something like that, like seeing that hypocrisy and being like, listen, if this is what Christianity is, like I'm gonna take a step back, kind of thing?
Let me
None of
see.
y'all.
I can't say.
I
Let me
feel
see.
like we all kind of felt that.
I mean, honestly, just like me personally, like my whole relationship with religion kind of changed like after Geneva, anyways. But I think Geneva like definitely played a part in that. So like religion as a whole, I probably look at it a lot differently than I did because I mean I was young when I came to Geneva and just growing up in that, like my attitudes on a lot of things changed. Like whether like I didn't really understand, whether it was like abortion or I mean, I guess cohabitating, just things like that. My perspective on a lot of things changed, and I know that going to Geneva had like a lot to do with that. But like I said, I'm glad it worked out that way.
Mm. I think for me, it had like kind of the opposite effect. Like kind of like what you were saying earlier, Bristol, about how if you get forced to do something, you don't want to really do it. So like growing up, it's like obviously your mom or your grandmom or whoever makes you go to church every Sunday, and it becomes like the thing to do. But I think going to Geneva and seeing what it was made me have more of an appreciation for it when I went back home. Uh, at least for me, at least. So I don't think it really like shook my faith that much. I think it made it like a little bit better in a way, just because yeah, like I just appreciated more where I came from. Because going
Mm.
up there, I was like, don't know what this is. Like,
Yeah.
Like y'all people back home are really about it. I'm not feeling them over there.
yeah,
Oh.
like right. And then when I got home, like I don't go every Sunday, but like when I do go, it's like because I want to go and like I appreciate like the experience that I have and I get more out of it versus like at Geneva, it was just like Thomas said, I was just chilling. Like I couldn't tell you one thing that was said in any of them chapels, but it's just because they.
I remember a couple things.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Not a team.
I
Not
think
a
everybody
team.
felt that type of way. Y'all remember when they had I guess that Steelers like football player come and
Daniel Sepulveda. That's the only one I remember.
Yeah.
You will remember that,
Yeah.
Joe Wood.
I don't know why.
Last name and everything, dude.
And first name. I don't know who it was.
Let me see if it's even true.
But that was like, I feel like a lot of what we're saying was echoed at Geneva, and they tried to bring him there to be like, hey, look, we also do hip stuff, you know? Like, Steelers and God, what else do you want?
They got the backup
Jens
punter.
wasn't ready for that.
Which can I say that never hit with me, first of all, because I'm a Ravens fan being from Baltimore. So it was always tough to walk around on Sundays and see all the black and yellow going around. But then when they brought the Steelers guy to chapel, I said, first of all, I was checked out before we started. Now you really lost me, man. I'm about to go to the bathroom for 45 minutes and I'll be back.
I will say the hardcore Genevans were loving it. They're like, oh man, we got an NFL player. I'm like, man, they got the backup punter. Like, calm down.
Like,
Not the punter. He's not
like at
important.
chapel, you could definitely see like the divide on campus because there would be like certain people that would like try to rush to be able to sit up front, like on the floor, and then like certain people that would not really care that much and were just doing like yik yak and
Yik yak.
yeah. What was that game that we used to play?
Temple Run.
Something Runner.
Oh,
Temple
yeah.
Run, yeah.
Temple Run, bro.
He
had a high score in that game. I know.
That's funny because that brings up like, okay, so it was, I will say, something positive that came out of that. It's like not any other point would you have everyone, because we as the black people would have our section in the upper bleachers. So I don't know if y'all remember that. So it's like, so it's kind of like once a week we all got to sit together and just, we would crack jokes during those things. Like I remember some people were real jokesters. So even though I didn't really like or care about what was going on down there, like I like that we all got to kind of assemble once a week over there. But I don't know if anybody else felt that way.
Nah, definitely.
It was like,
If
it was
I
like
walk in
assembling
and I
the
ain't know where to
Avengers.
sit, I just look where the black people was, and I
For
just go
sure.
there.
Yeah, pretty much. That was my
He was
first.
always late.
That's what I took from the first one. I'm like, all right, I'm about to sit with the dudes I know from football camp.
So
That is interesting too. You even saw a divide in the minorities. Like you'd see some minorities sitting in an area, you see a different group of minorities sitting in a different area. So now it's like, dang, which minority group do I sit with?
like we always found each other.
Yeah, and I can imagine, like, I almost wish we had like a black person that was RP, just kind of tell us their perspective, maybe. Just because maybe if you was raised in that, you kind of know what to expect a little bit. I don't know.
Now you know damn well there are not too many of them.
I don't think there are any.
I was gonna say, I think I'm the closest because like I come from a Presbyterian church, but I don't.
I think I'm the closest now. I'm Catholic.
Yeah, you're pretty close.
Like, but
Ian,
Catholics have
saint
nothing
name?
on RPs. Like, huh?
What's your saint name?
Saint Isidore.
Did you say Saint Briscoe? What'd you say?
Saint Isidore. He's the Catholic saint of like computer science.
Really?
They got saints.
There's literally a saint for everything, anything you can think of.
That's wild.
Any good thing.
Yeah, and it's like not even close to being RP. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like Catholics know how to let loose at least.
Oh yeah, they definitely do.
Their rules are definitely less restrictive. I'm gonna say that.
They got Stroud and Anderson too.
But like, I guess I don't know. I guess from what the school intended, playing devil's advocate, like, so I can see how they're like, we're a religious institution, we're Reformed Presbyterian, we believe in Jesus, the Bible, and we're giving these people the tools to lead a faith based life outside of here. Does anybody think the experience, or at least the faith aspect of going to Geneva, actually had a positive impact on them after leaving there?
I mean,
I don't want to get demonetized, so I'm not going to say my point.
Well, let's hear your thoughts that
It
are.
ain't even monetized yet. You might as well say that shit.
Yo, what
Fuck
money you
no.
talking about? Y'all get money?
That's
I get paid
it
to
was
be here?
it was that movie where they gotta fake the family to go get the drugs, and it's like, well, y'all getting paid?
No.
The Millers.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Millers.
that's what it is.
No, not at
I
all.
mean,
Like I I went, and this is what we kind of like went over, but I went to Geneva for a psychology degree. Psychology is one of the most secular uh, career fields that you can go in. You cannot do this from a faith based perspective. Like you can't say God is the reason why somebody's hippocampus is acting up,
They said it.
or
They said it.
they did, and this is the reason why I failed my psychology class, because I stopped going because the professor was pushing this Christian based psychology perspective, and I wasn't with him. Like, no, that's not what I've learned thus far, and I get where I am, but I already got a Bible class to take. I don't need that in psychology class.
yeah,
I
I
think
feel
that
like
kind of
it's
goes
almost like
to
a funnel. Like for you to use that psychology degree, you have to transition from Geneva to like a psychology practice that's like almost like faith based. Which I guess I
Yes,
figured out there are some, but that's its own niche, and it's almost just like the Geneva bubble because I mean, I
that
get it.
wasn't
For some people it
well.
works, but like y'all may not know this. Like I lost my niece and my dad like the same week.
yeah.
Oh
Like
man,
and
So
like one of the things, like my niece's mom, she wanted to go to counseling, but she was like the faith based aspect was not like she was like, there's nothing you can tell me right now that's going like the math is not mathing for me. So
hmm
anyway, I guess I do see like I see what you're saying as far as like the psychology part. And unfortunately, like some people are like, if you go to counseling, that's you're gonna get the God aspect regardless. Especially if you go to faith based, like you're gonna have to deal with
yeah.
that.
But on a note with, well, on the same page as that, it just, you're going to have more secular therapists, and when I say secular, I mean worldly, not sexual. But
We
Non-Christian.
got you.
right, you're going to
No one
run
calls
into
it.
more non-Christians. I just want to clear it up for the viewers. But you'll have that worldly view more than that faith based. So to teach it, I get it, but 75% of your class should be more worldly than this faith based perspective you're trying to feed us, if you get where I'm coming from.
No, I mean, I think I'll push back on the point that like a psychology or counseling degree from a religious institution can't translate to the outside world. Because I have people in my family that went to Christian schools, studied counseling or psychology, and they practice in secular environments. So I think it's all how you handle it,
That is true. I
how
agree.
you
I
translate.
agree.
But no, I do see how like if you're not, someone that's like, I don't know, drinking the sauce or the Kool-Aid, how that could be kind of annoying. You're like, I'm just trying to learn psychology. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I just think there's a time and place
that
for
was
everything
my
too. Like I think what Thomas said though is
yeah.
kind of the point. Like I think his point more is there's a time and place. Like, hey, I'm taking the Bible class. Hey, if you want to incorporate that into my humanities, or you want to incorporate that into some of my, other classes, I get that. But there is a time and place for it. And I think that kind of goes back to what we were talking about in episode one. If you're not going to do things that cater, it's you could say, oh, you chose to come here, but you chose to recruit me.
mhm.
You chose to
True.
reach out and invite me to your campus. So I would think, or I would hope, or I would like to have a few more things that cater towards, me. And if you're not going to have that, then why does it feel like you're forcing it into, in every part of my curriculum?
I mean, and I'll give it to them. Like they really designed that curriculum so like once you took them Bible classes, it was gonna be hard for you to transfer. They knew that. Like once you're in here, like you're in, bro. Like I
Like
tried,
these don't
I
transfer
legit
nowhere.
tried to transfer to another Christian school, and they're like, "Bro, we don't even take these credits."
Bro, the community college looked at me like,
Yeah,
Hey,
like another
hey, bro.
Christian school is like, "Bro, we don't take these credits."
That's
Like,
crazy.
I'm sorry. I tried to transfer to Norfolk State, and it was like, sir, we can't do anything.
yeah.
Like, you would have to start over. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not going back to school no soon.
But yeah. So did any? I mean, I know we briefly talked about the what seemed like hypocrisy point of like, yeah, with the extra rules and all that. But I think for me, and this might have to be like a different topic that we talk about, but especially, as Black people, as what we experience, did we see I don't know, I think the world now talks a lot about the embodiment of like Christ being love, Christ being open to your neighbors, Christ being loving and accepting. Did we see that in like what the college represented? Did we see that, or was it just talk, or did we actually see the actions of that?
It was all talk.
I think it was talk, but I don't know
Like
if
that.
that's Geneva's fault.
Okay.
I'm gonna
What
be
are
honest.
instances where you think they could have been less talk and more action if that's something that you saw?
I don't know. The reason I say that is because we're still, at the end of the day, you are still dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-olds who are just immature by
Yeah.
nature. So I think that to a certain aspect, you can, like, I'll never forget the time, I'll never forget the time they had an event outside of the parking lot of Young and Arms, and someone decided to throw a water balloon down in there because that's just what 19-year-olds do.
Yeah.
And it hit me. All right. We ain't going to go into that story about what almost happened.
Yo, you
But
lost your mind. Like I was like, Briscoe, it's just a water balloon, my guy.
bro, iPhones wasn't waterproof back then, man. That's all I'm saying. But I'm saying, and it just so happened to hit my phone, dog. I was pissed. But anyway, my point is, you're still dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-olds. So I know it's very hard to like say that, Christ is love and love is shown in every aspect of life, and say, hey, our student body is going to embody that when there's still 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. You know what I mean? Like
I'm not even talking
18-year-olds are
about the
legal, but
student
I wouldn't
body.
even
I'm
hang
talking
out
about
with
the
an 18-year-old
institution.
right now.
I'm
Especially
talking
coming
about
from different backgrounds too.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, I don't want to stare the pot or whatever. Like I know like their stances on like the LGBT and like their stances on,
Well,
they
I'm glad
sued the
we.
Obama administration over
Mhm.
reproductive rights. I don't know if you guys remember
I
that.
remember that.
Yeah,
I
I
do
remember that. That was
remember
my
that.
freshman year. They were about
I
to
remember that.
outlaw people that had birth control. Like if you take birth control, you can't go here anymore.
Well, I think the Obama
Like
administration
if
wanted to, as part of Obamacare, mandate that all employers had to provide, I think it was birth control for their employees. And I guess the RP faith believes that birth control is a sort of abortifacient.
Hmm.
And so they sued to be able to, and they did successfully get that excluded. So I think that's what it was. But I think more so the point that I really cared about was race relations, and as far as that, and how I don't feel like they did enough to live out the words of Jesus Christ, because there was different like was there were certain like different things going on around the globe, or like the larger world and stuff about like Black people getting discriminated against. There was a Black person that died on campus, and just the way that they kind of like brushed past it and didn't really address it, to me, it just really didn't sit right. So I don't know if anybody else felt that way.
Yeah, I can definitely talk. I can talk about that because I don't know if y'all remember like Devin, like when that happened.
R.I.P.
Like,
Yeah, I remember
yeah,
that.
R.I.P. Devin. Yeah, like really for me, just it was like combined like culture shock with like the press conference with everything. It just felt like damage control, and it felt I don't know. It didn't feel like there was a lot of heart behind it, and it just set it. Looking back now, it seemed like a lot of like, and I know that's what people do when stuff happens. It just seems like a lot of optics, a lot of damage control, and I guess like now when they have like school shootings, or like talk to a counselor if you feel terrible, that type of thing. Like there might be another one next week, but just talk to a counselor right now. It just seemed like
Wasn't
superficial.
that the?
But
Because I might be out of context. Wasn't that the guy that passed away before I got up there?
Yeah,
Like he
the
passed away
supposed
before.
That
suicide.
was my freshman year.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
See
that
when
whole thing
okay,
was tricky though. Like
yeah,
he didn't really, not to get too off topic, but he didn't really. I think he was cool with Sway a little bit, but
Yeah.
I don't know
yeah,
Yeah.
that he
that's
talked to
about it.
too many people. So like I remember like the cops came to me in Cam's dorm and were like asking us questions like if we knew anything that happened. But it just felt like we didn't really own that well, to be honest. But yeah, to go off your point, like yeah, Geneva definitely like swept that under the rug.
Yeah.
It was almost like it just came and went and everybody just forgot about it.
Yeah, it was definitely like damage control. We don't want this to affect enrollment. We'll do what we got to do. Back to
Right.
business.
but see, then you have to ask that question. How like that is a part of the hypocrisy because with death you're supposed to lean on faith to become whole again, and there were students that knew this guy, and some kind of visual should I mean could have been put. I'm not gonna say should have, could have been put in place for him or something like that, and it was I don't think any of that was
Was there
done
one?
outside
I
of
mean, if there was one, it wasn't like I
it.
don't
It
remember.
won't there
Maybe
for
there
Well,
was
long.
one.
I don't really think there. I think there may be like some words said at chapel about it, and I mean, so this is where I tie in like the race relations and like the faith thing. Like I think I can't help but ask myself if that was like a white RP kid, like
Jarwood, I got the answer for you right now.
because you saw what happened to the football player, how much
Bro,
they rallied around
No,
campus.
not even that. Not even that.
What?
Kit got hit by a car, and that
And
shit was all over everything on
it
campus.
was. It
Obviously, great woman,
was.
right? Like
Yeah,
I
no,
Yeah,
felt
I love
bad,
Kid. I love
and I
Kid.
think
yeah.
I think she's awesome. I think she's amazing.
Yeah,
But
I
that
remember that.
situation happened, and bro, you
Oh my
couldn't go anywhere on
gosh.
campus without hearing about it.
no, I
Oh
But
agree.
whereas
my,
when
yeah, you're
Devin
right.
disappeared before it was ruled a death or ruled a suicide, however they
And
wanted to do, you ain't hear nothing about it. Like you had to go
I
digging.
agree.
Like
not
bro, I think
yeah,
that was because that happened the semester that I wasn't there, and I had to Google and like really try to dig to find any information. And I was like, I feel like that's important.
And I
You
remember
know, I
being
feel
on
like,
campus, just like, is somebody gonna tell us anything? Like, is anybody gonna keep us updated? And there was just
and I
nothing.
get it. Like I get like not wanting to put out information too early before you have answers. I understand that, but I do feel as though that a memo or something should have went out to the student body and just to give them a little update on kind of what's taking place, where we are and things. I just feel like that was really, 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 really not addressed.
yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that could have been an opportunity for the school to like relate to us more. They could have like had a prayer service about it or like
yeah.
something, like
Something.
to show some type of empathy or that they cared a little bit. But at least from my memory, I just don't remember
Yeah.
anything. So
I only
It's,
remember the press conference. That's really it. And
mhm.
everybody's like, of course, it's sad, but that's like it. That's all I remember.
it really did just feel like moving on, like right after like they announced it and everything. I was like, well, dang, like that's not really, showing the love of Christ and rallying around the people that are brokenhearted right now. It's just kind of like how quickly. That's how it felt like to us at the moment. Like how quickly can we get past this? How quickly can we like avoid the bad PR type of thing? So I think that was a moment for me. I was like, well, dang. And
Yeah.
then yeah,
Mhm.
And to relate this to the topic, man, I think this is why when we were talking about what we kind of wanted this podcast to be about in the beginning, I think that I kind of use this as an opportunity to say to anybody that looks like us that wants to go to a PWI, whether you're going there for whatever reason, right? If it's sport, if it's something within the curriculum specifically, because we know Geneva has an amazing engineering program, and some people choose it for that. So for whatever your reasonings are, if that's a place that you're going to choose to go, like you really should try to do your best to go to a place where they have a network, because I think that that was a big area of opportunity for Geneva. I'm not going to tell them how to run their school, but there was not that network of connectivity between people that look like us as minorities. We had to create that amongst ourselves, and it was what we made it. So it's not that they were a horrible school. It just was, in my opinion, I would assume that a couple of you guys agree, is like the opportunities to really say, hey, we're going to address that we have minorities here, and we're going to do things that we can to not make them feel like a minority every single day they walk around this campus. I think that was the area of opportunity that was missed. And if you can do a little pre-research when you're going to a school or university to figure out where to go to find a place that has that network or infrastructure in place, I feel like that should be a priority.
And if they did that, then I'd probably feel more obligated to donate. They'd be sending that stuff every other month.
If anybody from the administration is listening,
only reason I feel like I donate is because I used to work there, man.
Oh my gosh, I forgot.
Not getting shit from me.
Yeah.
Not a dime. More than a dime. But I'm done for one, actually. So.
I used to be the one making the phone calls. That's the only reason why I feel like I'm like, dang, I should at least put give him like $20,
Something.
Do something, man.
But yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna read you from the website Geneva's statement on diversity. Geneva practices a robust view of diversity derived from a belief that our Creator made a good creation with beauty and diversity in mind. The Center for Student Engagement serves as a catalyst to support our intercultural students, educate the campus on issues of diversity and inclusion, and serves the campus through providing an intercultural perspective in decision making. So there's a lot of words to say we ain't doing much. At least during our time, I didn't feel like they were doing much.
They weren't doing nothing, but they always found one of us to put on the cover of a magazine.
Without a doubt. But
that is true.
I really think.
Tell me you need royalties. Tell me you need royalties every time they use your image, bro.
I ain't gonna mind. They caught a good flicks of me.
I have a whole article written about me, and I get no money from that.
You really got an article written about you for real?
Computer science. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. No, I just think as far as like the faith and tying in with like the diversity, they have a long way to go. I think any of us who volunteer our services as far as consultants, paid consultants, to kind of walk them through the nuances of how they can better, from our experiences, better that. But I just don't think that's somewhere, whether it's a PWI or, religious PWI, they miss the mark. And as far as like inclusivity, so yeah.
So Thomas just gonna sneak back in here after disappearing for a little bit and not turn his camera back on.
The man is potting from work, so you gotta get.
Oh,
they potting from outside.
There's certain things in that building y'all can't see.
This man.
There's certain things in that building y'all can't see. That's all I'm saying.
They got hookers hanging from the cafeteria ceiling. It's like, yeah, that's where our government funding goes.
Top flight security of the world status over here.
Facts. Well, you could have just turned your camera off. You know that.
Yeah, I did. Turned that off and I muted it.
Yeah, you're not about to start driving time.
Hey, I respect the dedication though.
Thomas, you better sit your tail in the car, bro. You start that drive and you just go woo.
This man's like,
facts.
But
I think Geneva's definitely not gonna do anything to improve the diversity and inclusion on campus because the higher ups at Geneva are also RP, and as we talked about earlier, there's no diversity in that religion at all. So they don't have any contact with.
Yeah, I don't know if they got any diversity in the boardroom. So
they don't really come into contact anytime in their life with like people like us.
Yeah. And honestly, like that's the thing. Like we're not the core demographic. The core demographic, like we talked about, is those like other RP kids, other homeschool kids, the people that go there for this faith-based education. And so as long as they keep funneling that, I mean, I would advise that with 1,300 kids, you might want to reach out to more. But yeah, so I think as long as they keep getting a strong, steady diet of those same people, they have no reason to branch out, honestly.
At what point do you think
No.
the diversity statement is just checking a box as opposed to being something you stand by?
At this point,
At this point, yeah,
it's just
that's
checking.
all that is.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, shout out to, I mean, with all like the Black Lives Matter stuff that went on, like George Floyd, rest in peace, Mike Brown, like all that stuff has put it on the forefront. So for people to even look at your school, especially athletes, because I feel like that's the only part where they will care about maybe, you know, black people or reaching out to black people. So I think you have to have something just to say, look, you can point to this statement. We got something. Yeah.
I think the thing is too, though. I don't. This sucks, dude. This is what's crazy. I don't think that I find it hard to believe that everyone in the shares the same sentiment, because I'd have a hard time thinking that the entire coaching staff didn't. I'm gonna say care, for lack of a better term, about us being minorities. I don't know if y'all want to go down that. I don't know if y'all want to go down that route right now, but
Wait, elaborate.
I don't know if we want to save this for the sports conversation or
Shit.
Oh, let me ask
Boy,
y'all something,
let me
though.
tell you.
Let me ask y'all something.
I'm just about to go up.
Like, imagine.
You just open a can, bro. It's like
I said I didn't know if y'all wanted to get into that.
But like, let me ask y'all something. Like, imagine if you had the opportunity to talk to, like, there was like a group of black people before we got to Geneva, just like us doing this podcast right now, and they was like, "Bruh, Geneva is like, you need to be ready." Like, would you really have listened to them? Would you have been like, "Man, I'm not gonna do it"? Would you be like, "Man, it can't be that bad. I'm gonna just check it out"?
I think it depends. If it were people like us who we're now a few years removed and we're older, yeah, I'd really take into consideration what they're talking about.
Because there's way too many options out there that are cheaper than Geneva. I would listen.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But if you're like trying to, I don't know, if you're trying to like play sports and stuff, and Geneva's like the only school giving you attention or going to give you anything to go there, I feel like you don't really have that many options.
Like,
It's
you
like
might not
that
have many options.
transfer portal type of thing, honestly. Because, I mean, to go off of what you're saying, like, yeah, Geneva is a good place to go, but like we all know, you got to be prepared for that. And me personally, I was telling people about Geneva while I was there and after I left. Because it's one of the, like, I'll continue to say, and I'll stand on this. Geneva is an environment that will change, that is good for people, but you really got to be, like, in tune with yourself. Because if you're not, it's gonna change it. It might not change you for the better. But I would take heed to whatever, like the upper class. Like if I was on a visit and one of the black damn, I was about to say African man. One of the black upperclassmen came and say like, "Hey, bro, you know you gonna have your fun,
Get out.
but
Get
yeah, exactly, something like that. Like because it was a lot of people that came in for a semester or for a year and didn't come back that next year." And they all had their own reasons. And then you had the people that like y'all stuck it out for the entire time. Briscoe, you left for a semester and came back. So obviously, I mean, in my mind, I would see that like, okay, where you went to go for school for that semester, Geneva ain't that bad. I mean, it could be better, but it won't horrible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it also.
This.
Go ahead,
Go ahead. No. I will say this though, like as far as I feel like because there are a lot of homeschooled kids, it did provide like a safe environment for like if you're really like protected, it is a safe space if you really try and be away from the world. So if you try and be, people try to figure out life, but
for them,
it's like a bubble. Yeah, it's like a safe space.
You know,
for real.
Yeah, asshole. I'm about to be an asshole. Is it really safe? I'm gonna pull this card. Fuck that. Is it really safe for people when motherfuckers go missing and don't nobody know what the fuck happened? Granted, it's completely off topic, but
he said who it was safe for. He said who it was safe for.
So if I'm not homeschooled, I'm not safe in school. The fuck?
But no, I mean, No, I will say that was not afforded to. But no, really, I think it sounds like we're bashing on the institution. But for someone that,
No, no,
like,
no.
has been sheltered, has had like a steady diet of like faith fed to them their whole life, Geneva is an
Right.
ideal place to go because you will get those things on steroids and you will not be dealing with the other temptations that comes with like a normal like PWI, like a state college or anything like that. So yeah, it has its place.
I have a question. Do you all have friends or associates that attended other PWI Christian schools?
Yes.
I had one.
Like
I do.
I had a cousin of mine. Who went to Shawan University down in Carolina, and Shawan was off the hook, like complete. Granted, this is a Christian school too, but it was wild for it to be a Christian school. And I want to say they had a very large population of black kids going to
What
that
kind of Christian
once.
school was it though?
There's
I
like a
What
North
think
kind of
Notre Dame type
Specifically
what
thing.
kind of denomination?
Reformed Presbyterian.
if
Yeah.
it wasn't Reform Pres. I mean, it wasn't Reform Pres, but I believe I want to say it. I can't off the top of my head. I will go Google it sometime later. But I think it was just. It might have been the regular, just off the wall Christian. I'm not gonna put a denomination on the school because I don't know. But that school was off the hook. And then I had people that went to Liberty as well. Majority of them went to Liberty to play football, but they said Liberty was strict, like
Liberty is on
worse
the
than
same level as Geneva. I don't know which
yeah.
one
Like,
it is because my brother
Mhm.
went to Liberty. Yeah,
Man, Liberty is that. Granted, they still had fun at Liberty, but Liberty was strict.
yeah. Liberty is like
And
three times the size of Geneva and just
yeah,
as strict.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I have people
they
that went to like Calvin College and like Hope College and like Michigan, and I think their experiences they have a larger Black African diaspora like population. And I think like that's more in the forefront, and they're not Reformed Presbyterian. So
so is that so? I guess this is a good question. Is Geneva the way that it is? Reform prayers or not because of the lack of diversity, or is it just that way because it is reform prayers?
It's by design, I would say.
Yeah. It's definitely by
yeah,
Okay.
design.
it's
Yeah.
I
it's
think
like
I'm
we
gonna push
want these
back.
people.
I think it started off as design, and I think it became that way because of lack of color. The higher you go up the food chain, I always say like a
True.
manager who was a great manager when they started out has a tendency to become a worse manager the further away they are from the position they were promoted from,
Once again,
because they start
right.
to lose touch. And I think that when you have places like Geneva that were built and designed to be a certain way, the older the people in administration get and the less they start to look like the wave of people you're trying to recruit to come in, I think that's where a bigger gap and bigger challenges come in, and that's why I do
Right.
believe that having people in leadership that look like that are younger, that can speak this. So I'm not trying to make it political, but it's the same issue we have in Congress. When people that sit in these congressional
It's the
seats and
same thing.
positions, and they're so far detached from the way that reality
Society.
really is in the fucking world. You know what I mean? And I think that
Yeah.
that's part of the way it is at Geneva a little bit too. People are getting older. People have been in these positions forever. No one looks like the minorities that are coming in, and they're saying, "Yeah, we're catering to you." You're not, though.
right.
I'll
And I
push
Yeah,
think
and
back
you
though and
know
say, go
Now
ahead,
I was
push
Jay.
gonna
back,
say,
man.
it's
Push
really
back.
like for y'all to hit the numbers, like as a college, like it's all about getting numbers in. So you have to like increase the outreach, like the people you're bringing in. But if you're bringing those people in, then you have to like meet their needs. So it's like,
Do you have to?
you know, I mean, yeah, because I don't know if y'all heard this. They talked about like budget cuts, like the fact like they were running into like budget issues and stuff like that. That was when I was
Yeah,
leaving,
because
and I was like, it's because
they ain't got no students.
like they're not
Yeah, there's
recruiting,
no
but in order
retention.
for them to recruit, they have to change. They have to.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to say get with the
That-
times, but
But I
They
really
have
do believe
they
the
have to
fact
figure
that.
out a way.
So I say, okay, my pushback was going to be, I will say, even if half the population of Geneva was black people or multi-ethnic,
half.
I don't know. Even if it's a hypothetical, I don't think the
That's a
rules would have
stretch.
changed. I think there would have been the exact same rules because they're coming from this is our conviction from a faith-based perspective, and I don't think the population will change that, because it's what the school was founded on. I think that's what they're going to stick by. And my opinion is they'd rather shut their doors down than change up.
But
Because
if I can push back
I
again,
agree. I agree with that.
I don't think our issues necessarily were the rules. Did the rules suck? Yeah. Did it feel a little grade school? Sure. But I don't
Summer
think
camp.
I knew the rules when I left Geneva for a semester and I came back understanding the rules. It wasn't the rules that were the issue. It was the fact that I felt by myself. I felt like there
Yeah.
was no emphasis of trying to make it feel like an inclusive campus when I walked around. I felt like if I were to get into the same type of trouble with someone that didn't look like me at the same exact time, for some reason I feel like I wouldn't be walking away unscathed, but they would. Like that's the issue. The open hours, yeah, they sucked, but whatever. You know what I mean?
It's
Well,
what
it's
it
a Christian
is.
school. What do you expect? I
Yeah.
mean, we went through that. Like, all right, you're not gonna be able to, you know what I'm saying, excuse my language, you're not gonna be able to hump on everybody when you want to or whatever. Now you got it. The rules are there for a reason. And granted, we're gonna get into another topic later on that kind of didn't really make sense. Like, yeah, we got these open hours, but you gotta have this ring by spray. But you know what I'm saying, we'll talk about that another time.
I knew it wasn't gonna be like no Youngstown where we got shared dorm access. I knew it wasn't gonna be nothing like that. Thomas ain't need nothing like that. Thomas got kicked out. You know what I'm saying? If we ain't had them rules,
with the Geneva rules.
Thomas might got kicked out week 1, man.
Hey.
But
No, actually, no. I wouldn't have got kicked out because, you know, it wasn't my issue. It wasn't my issue at all, you know. But nah, I want to go back to the population part of it, because you said what Chia said, if the population. Nah, somebody said it. If the population was half black,
Jarwood.
dude. Yeah, Jarwood said if the population was half black, the rules wouldn't have changed. I can guarantee you that is false, because you literally made changes as y'all went through the years. And granted, just think if you had 10 times more people behind you, the things that would have reflected after, with those, people behind y'all.
I
It,
think
it
it's
would
more
have been
likely.
like
clearly
maybe that would
different.
happen, but like board members would resign and be like, "This ain't the
Yeah.
place I remember."
I think
Yeah.
it's honestly though, I think it's more likely that they would shut the doors down because it was half black than they would. I think if it ever got to the point it was half black, they changed the rules, bro, because they realized what's going on.
And like, hey,
But I
and
think
not
I
like
think if,
African, like
yeah, I think if they let it get to
any type of
25%,
color, bro.
they'd be like, nah, we gotta cut it back.
Damn.
We need to go in a
That-
different direction.
Which is wild to me because of the community that surrounds Geneva.
we haven't even
Yeah.
touched on that. Like,
Yeah. I'm gonna be the first. Geneva sat in the middle of the fucking hood, point blank. You had a
no, they
gas
were up the
station.
hill from the hood.
Bullshit.
We
If
were
you
up
walked
the
up
hill.
the block from Sheets, it was an apartment complex. See, they
I don't know,
they
man. There
don't
was some Beaver
know
Falls niggas
what
in the
I
alley.
know. Exactly. They look.
There
went
was those
exploring.
apartments across from
Every-
Patterson.
Yeah.
Almost every
I
year
went down
that
there.
we were at Geneva, somebody got shot at that Sheets up there. At least once a year,
Right?
there was somebody shooting up at that Sheets.
But and that's the thing
Thoughts and prayers.
to me, like if you were really exemplifying the faith, I know they have like one house downtown. Like there would have been more like an emphasis from the college of like, yo, we have this very impoverished like neighborhood around us. Let's integrate ourselves more into the community. That school could not have been more separated from like what really went on down in people. Like you go
Yo,
downtown.
let me play the devil's advocate here, because
Yeah,
I don't know if
let's
you
hear it.
remember, like business class, we had like peers, we had a project, and now I mean you can go back, you can say whatever, but the project was called gentrification of Beaver Falls, bro. And I didn't know what gentrification. I didn't think gentrification in that way, but I swear I still got the PDF. And we was like, we trying to bring investment down, to downtown Beaver Falls. We're trying to rejuvenate the area, but it was
It was a
gentrification
class.
of Beaver Falls.
It never left the class.
Yeah.
So that's a bad pushback. It never left the
It didn't.
class.
I know.
Like, what do you mean?
I think, yeah. I mean, yeah. I feel like that was their like, we tried.
I mean,
We
it's
tried.
like I say,
That's what it
theory
was.
and action are two different things.
But yeah,
Nah, they could have tried
now
harder.
and honestly, I I don't know if gentrification had the meaning it had back then too, or maybe I just didn't know. But yeah,
No, it always meant the same thing.
yeah, I was like, it was it's like gentrification in Beaver Falls. And I was like, damn, had me
And
excited
you know,
to
John,
help the
you and
locals.
you and me, like over spring break, we would take missions trips. And I was like, why are you going
Yeah.
out there when we got this whole city and this whole county of Beaver County here that we could be doing stuff right here? So we take mission trips and go to New York City, New Orleans, and I'm like, we got Beaver Falls right here. We're like, they need cleaning up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it would help if Geneva had like more like black professors though, because like I feel like an area like that, if you have like a bunch of white RP people come into like your neighborhood, it's like, how can you help me out when you don't even know like what I'm experiencing and dealing with every day?
Yeah.
Man, we had Todd Allen.
Todd Allen. Hey, that communication class was lit.
For you.
Yeah, that's a fact. But
It was alright.
Anyway, I think I mean, yeah, we just said it. I think the school can do more as far as like living out the faith aspect of it, whether it's in the community or with the student body, and as far as like, tying that in with diversity. And I'll leave it at that. That's all I got to say about it. If they need more, I charge by the hour.
What?
You gotta edit that part out.
Hey man, well look, I'm gonna check it. It's a good thing we had time anyway, man, because we got the aliens creeping in on us. So that means that our Secret Service agents is checking it in, man. But we appreciate y'all tuning in and just chopping up with us, or listening to us chop it up for a little bit and just kind of review, like we said, the faith aspect of it and just kind of our experience with that. And again, like we said from the beginning, we just want to make this be as informational as possible. These are just our views. These are just our opinions. This is no way speaking about, we're not possibly trying to go out of our way to speak negative about the institution we went to. We all chose to go there and we all chose to stay there. So this is just our opinion on what it was like. And if there's people in similar positions as us, things to look out for. So, hey, we appreciate you guys as always. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. You can check us out. Oh, shoot. The aliens,
Thomas.
Thomas, whatever you're doing, stop.
Hey, don't worry, man. Oh, no. All right, he good. Now I just muted that, man.
Oh, man.
All right, we good. Hey, check us out on YouTube. Check us out on our website. Check us out on Apple Podcast, man. But for now, we out of here. Peace.
1